Human beings have always had a need for relatedness, that feeling of being close to someone or bonded to someone. We like to feel love and give love. We like to know that we can trust someone. A child's first bond is called attachment. An attachment is an enduring emotional tie that unites kids to the caregiver they have. This has far-reaching effects on development that we will discuss throughout this presentation. We are going to be talking about ethological attachment theory, which was developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. Their theory essentially states that the human capacity for close relationships has been evolving over millions of years of human history. So essentially, since humans have existed on this planet, our close relationships have been evolving with the times. In early history, this can be seen as the close ties with parents and infants was merely based on survival. Infants relied on parents for food, water, and shelter, and not much else. There wasn't a ton of time for emotional development in those relationships. However, in the modern world, attachments are extremely emotionally based and important to our development. Attachments are seen in infants crying, clinging, and crawling towards parents when distressed, and when not upset, babies show affection with snuggles, smiles, and cooing. There are two key elements to the ethological attachment theory. The first is a safe haven. Infants learn to use parents as a safe haven by depending on them for protection from harm and for comfort when feelings of hunger, fatigue, or fear escalate to unmanageable levels. So essentially, if a baby's hungry, it's going to cry and look at its mother and hope that she feeds him. In a secure base, infants use parents as a secure base by relaxing in the presence of affectionate parents, and they feel sufficiently safe enough that they can venture around while still having their mother or father in view. There are 4 phases that a child should follow in their development from about birth to 2 years old in their attachment. The first is pre-attachment, which is from birth to about 6 to 12 weeks old. Babies will use social signals like smiling, crying, or eye contact to elicit care from others. Babies will treat adults in an equal fashion, allowing anyone with the right touch to care for them, and they begin to understand which select caregivers respond affectionately to them. The second phase is attachment in the making, which is from 6 to 12 weeks old to about 6 to 8 months of age. Infants begin to learn that they can't count on just anyone for attention, so they tend to focus more towards mom and dad or their main caregiver. And by the 2nd or 3rd month, they smile at selective people, and after that, they begin to really laugh. And in the early months, parents are responsible for maintaining the social exchange, but babies, when in the right mood, will participate and exchange in some feedback. The third phase is clear-cut attachment, which is about 6 to 8 months until 1.5 years old. Infants will show full-fledged attachment to certain people, most likely their mother or father, and this can be seen when they reach out to be held by certain people or when they protest being separated from them. They start to get fearful reactions from unknown adults, which is called stranger anxiety. And then the 4th phase is reciprocal relationship, which is from about 1.5 to 2 years old. Infants will use emerging language and cognitive abilities to make inferences about their parents' goals and plans. Children will now take an active role in their relationship with parents by initiating interactions and taking turns in conversation. After these 4 initial phases of attachment, we'll still see a lot of development in early childhood and adolescence in a kid's attachment development. So in early childhood, a parent's role shifts from giving hands-on care to giving more guidance with rules and facilitation of interests. Children treated with kindness, patience, and respect actively reciprocate with affectionate gestures. Children start to realize that adults besides parents can be dependable, like teachers, coaches, and other relatives. And peers also become attachment figures, so children with healthy attachments are generally able to form friendships in early childhood. Then in middle childhood to adolescence, children will still have relationships with parents, but will grow closer with siblings, grandparents, extended family, teachers, and classmates. This is when severe life changes that cause disruption of the parent-child relationship, such as death, divorce, a big move, can cause children to become alarmed, angry, aggressive, or even physically ill. Adolescents start to become increasingly close to friends and romantic partners, and in the desire for autonomy and close bonds with peers, teens tend to prepare for the inevitable departure of the family nest. What we have discussed so far in this presentation is the ideal situation for a child, a loving and nurturing home that provides them with all they need to develop a proper, secure attachment style. However, unfortunately, some children do not receive the nurturing they need to develop a positive attachment style. So there are 4 different kinds of attachment that can develop in a child's life. The first kind is secure attachment. This is what we've been talking about previously. Children will use caregivers as a secure base. This is about 60 to 70% of children have this attachment style. The second kind of attachment style is insecure avoidant style. Children with insecure avoidant attachment seem oblivious to a caregiver's presence. They fail to greet their caregiver, and they may even look away when reunited with them. 15 to 20% of children have this attachment style. The third attachment style is insecure resistant attachment. Children are often preoccupied with their caregivers and yet are not easily comforted when returned to them. So when a parent leaves, the child becomes so distressed that when the parent returns, it does not calm them down and they remain stressed and angry. 10% of children have insecure resistant attachment. The last attachment style is disorganized and disoriented attachment. Children lack a coherent way of responding to worrisome events. They may appear calm one moment, then without provocation are scared or angry the next. This is the hardest attachment style to deal with because you never know what the child is feeling or how they're going to behave. And 15% of children have disorganized and disoriented attachment. The effect of disability on attachment style is actually very low. So disability plays a very minor role in attachment. Children with disabilities can form secure bonds with caregivers as long as their needs are met with patience and compassion, just like any other child. This goes for children who are premature, delayed developmentally, have chromosomal or genetic disorders, or any other disability. The problem with attachment in children with disabilities typically stems from the parents. Parents may find it difficult to meet the needs of their child who has a disability, and they may struggle to identify cues for distress or affection. Culture can also affect your attachment style. Parents typically follow cultural traditions in caring for infants. So if you have students whose parents have immigrated from a foreign country, or even foreign exchange students in high school, don't be surprised if their attachment style seems odd to you. For example, children from Japan, Indonesia, or Korea will become extremely upset when mothers leave the room and take a while to calm down. This is because in these societies, infants rarely separate from their mothers, and when they do, it's with a trusted, close relative like grandparents. They are rarely left with strangers, which can make the transition to school more challenging. Having a network of affectionate people is extremely valuable to children. They can form different attachments with different people to meet all of their needs. Children can form attachments with siblings, grandparents, teachers, and friends. In fact, attachment with teachers and other employed caregivers serves a critical role for many children. Sometimes when relationships with parents have strained, a teacher can take the place to fill children's need for security. In elementary school, children often develop close bonds with teachers, thriving on their affection and care. In middle school, close bonds are harder because children spend less time with one specific teacher, but it is still important for teachers to put in the effort to make relationships with students because it has been shown to increase their joy at school and they're more likely to succeed. Similarly, in high school, it is hard to form attachments because teens often feel it is us versus them, and this could be because many high school teachers feel like teens are rebellious and resistant to close relationships. However, good relationships with teachers is shown to benefit teens. They are more likely to be well-adjusted and to complete high school successfully. Some tips for teachers to encourage attachment in your classrooms could be to care for young children in a warm and sensitive manner, give children time to adjust to you, nurture bonds in children of all ages, model affectionate caregiving for family members, encourage parents to watch children's self-initiated actions, Encourage parents to think about how children understand events, and advise parents about the special needs of children with disabilities. Determine when children are separated from primary caregiver and determine the types of extra intervention they may need. Advocate for stability in employed caregivers. Encourage multiple attachments. Offer a range of services when children are placed in new families. Encourage sympathetic dispositions in children. Be especially sensitive to children who show insecurity or other attachment problems. Address the needs of the family when parents struggle with unmet emotional needs, and seek guidance when attachment problems seem serious.